Township Trustees. We'll call to the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Kubicki?
Present.
Ms. Hughes?
Present.
Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First of all, I'll make a motion that we approve and sign the meeting minutes of the regular meeting minutes of April 14, 2020. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Okay. Next, we go to open forum, and as we've said here, is we don't have the public out here, and I know you encourage people to reach out via email, etc. Do we have any questions for open forum?
We did not have any submitted this month.
Okay. All right. No questions for open forum. With that, we move on to the reports. Does anybody have any questions about the road superintendent report from Mr. Servizzi?
I'd like to make one mention on the road report. One of our service techs, Jim Goering, today is his 23rd employment anniversary. He is, I understand, the longest tenured employee at Columbia Township, so we want to say thank you to him for that.
Thank you. 23 years of service. That's a long time.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, and I understand it's somebody's birthday. Did you want to announce too?
John Servizzi, our road superintendent's birthday is May 1. Was
Okay.
May 1, so we have
Happy birthday,
a
John.
big month.
Okay.
We have great guys.
All right, with that, we move on to the police report with Lieutenant Enderle.
I really don't have anything to add to the report. We're still under our limited response plan, phase 1, and we anticipate to go back to our normal reporting procedures on June 1st, provided we don't have an uptick or a spike. So other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, then we move on to the fiscal officer's report with Ms. Heekin.
As of April 1st, we started the second quarter of 2020, and the general fund has $2,910,824, which was an increase of 5.4% from March. The restricted fund balance is $5,519,392, which is a 13% increase over March. And combined, those funds total $8,430,216, which is a 10% increase from March. The revenues for April are $1,231,324, expenses $456,612. That makes year-to-date revenues $2,897,944, and year-to-date expenses $1,303,809. And these April and year-to-date revenue figures reflected the completed first half settlement of funds from the auditor's office received in April of each year, and the second half settlement will be received in September. Federal income tax payments, which impact JED's receipts, and Hamilton County auditors' real property tax payments are both postponed until July. This delay, when we receive revenues, this will delay, our ability to measure the impact that COVID has had on our revenues until late in the third quarter. And however, as stated in last month's report, we are fortunate to have a strong reserve fund thanks to the board's commitment to responsible budgeting and our staff's professional financial management.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our real estate taxes should not be impacted. It would only be the JED's taxes we're most concerned about.
They're forecasting the real estate taxes may drop 10% or more due to non-payments.
Got it.
They eventually will make those payments, but there may be non-payments this year, and that's a small portion of our revenue. But because the federal income tax filing will delay the income tax payments into the JED-Z, and the property tax being delayed is just a small piece of that. But it just complicates when our budget is due here in the next 6 weeks. We won't have those figures, but we're going to use estimates.
Okay, with that, we move on to the administrator's report. Ms. Taylor.
All right, thank you. So I wanted to say to our residents and businesses that despite COVID, that Columbia Township has continued to deliver uninterrupted services. We every day have been providing all the services that we know that our residents and businesses love. And we want to thank you again to our awesome staff who are doing not only their regular duties, but also additional duties related to COVID. For example, our road and service crews, in addition to being out doing brush pickup and mowing and all of their regular duties, are also doing a full sanitization of the building twice a day, which adds 45 minutes to an hour to their day. So we appreciate what they're doing. And on the budget updates, in terms of what we're looking at over the next month or two, we have our annual budget that will be due to the Hamilton County Budget Commission July 20th. So there's a process, as you're well aware, of getting to the point where our budget is final, which includes a public budget hearing, notice of a public budget hearing and such. And so Kim and John and I are going to begin working on that, and Carolyn will participate with us as well, and then we'll draft budget and then reach out to you for helping set priorities for the next year. And then we will likely have a budget hearing, a public budget hearing, and then the final budget approval will be in July before we have to submit it to the Hamilton County Budget Commission. And on road improvements, we are happy to say that the US 50 pedestrian crosswalk is moving again between 50 West on the north and 50 West on the south. And ODOT had postponed their project, had to suspend their project, and has restarted that. And so we are advertising for bids currently. We've had a really strong interest, and we will open the bids on May 19th here, and then we will schedule in advance a special meeting with you to accept the winning bid, and we will give the notice to proceed immediately, and they will begin working with ODOT's contractor as they finish the paving from Marymount all the way east to Terrace Park on US 50. We will work our crosswalk with pedestrian refuge island and the flashing beacons into ODOT's project. So there's going to be a cooperative relationship there. I've already reached out to ODOT's project manager on site, as well as Barrett Paving, which is ODOT's prime general contractor, and they've committed to a cooperative relationship with whoever our winning bidder is. So that's great news.
So when do you think that will be installed?
Sometime in the next couple of months. They're going to work with us on the timing of what they are doing out on US 50. They're actually going to shift the process that they were going to, their schedule for the milling of the old pavement and then laying the new pavement. And because they have such a long multi-mile stretch, they're going to be able to mill what's needed in the section where our project is going to be built, and then move to the section of US 50 to the east of Newtown Road, and continue milling that, and then pave that while we're working on the install of the pedestrian island, and then they'll come back and finish the final paving. We have to fit in between the couple different courses of asphalt. One has to go down, the milling has to happen, and then we have to build, and then they have to come back. So that's where the cooperative piece of it comes in. Is that good?
Mm-hmm. Good.
We're also pleased to announce that our road improvement from Moffett and Ebersole has restarted. We had started earlier this year. Duke Energy replaced the gas main, and then COVID hit and had to suspend their project. In order to restart our project, we needed for Duke to be able to go back to their project, which requires them entering customers' homes to disconnect the old gas line, reconnect the new gas line, and relight all their pilot lights. And so Duke is contacting all of our residents on Moffett and Ebersole and making arrangements to enter into their home while they are away, and they're going to be wearing full PPE. And so once they have completed that, they've estimated a couple of weeks for that, then our contractor will be back on to our part of the project to actually construct the road piece. So, however, we don't have a new completion date yet. Everything's contingent on how well Duke's process with contacting the residents and making appointments to go into the home, how well that goes. We have received a notice from OPWC that as a result of the state's budget impacts from COVID, that recipients from their round 33 grants, that they may be delayed in reimbursing those grants. So we have a grant from OPWC for both Moffett and Eversole, and also for Hillendale, which we will be bidding probably in another couple of months. So the impact of that is that 50% of the cost of those projects, which are in excess of $3.2 million, 50% of it was going to be borne by a grant from OPWC, and then 50% is a loan that we are paying on in monthly installments, because they are not certain until the legislature is able to do a reapportionment bill. They're not certain when they're going to be able to make those reimbursements. So we may be in a situation where we need to take money from our reserves and use them to advance that money for the contractors and then receive those reimbursements from OPWC. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we will make sure that we circle back to the trustee board before, with the best information that we have before we make a decision about that. We have not bid Hillendale, but we are underway, as I mentioned, with Moffett and Eversole. So we're monitoring that, and we're going to watch for more information from OPWC. Okay. We continue to receive calls from other communities that are interested in our restaurant stimulus. And also, I know, David, that you mentioned that you've been hearing, as some of the other trustees have been hearing, that the restaurant owners have been sharing how much the grant was helpful to them and how deeply they appreciate what Columbia Township did for them. So we are going to have the Good Shepherd Safety Study in Madison Place wrapped up. That came about when Mike was here with the Girl Scouts. The unfortunate timing of COVID, with the schools being canceled and going online, was right when that study kicked off. So instead of holding the study until the end of this year, we're going to finish the study, but once school reconvenes, we will go back and update the study with the field conditions. So we're using other means, data from speed signs and other things like that to do an estimate of the field conditions, and then we'll update that study, so we'll have that here shortly. The Hamilton County Stormwater District annual fee commitment was due, and we continued that relationship, just under $50,000. This is the Stormwater District that we're a member of, where Hamilton County Stormwater staff do what's called permit compliance, where they check for illicit discharge, and also are performing a countywide home sewer and home sewage and public sewer mapping project. So that's what that money goes toward, and that's actually billed directly through the property owner bills. Verizon is working through us on permitting new towers for the 5G technology, and John Servizzi and I are working closely with Verizon officials on that. They are exempt under FCC from local requirements, but they have committed to a cooperative relationship. We've had several calls with them, and they have proven to be very cooperative, to a degree. And then to wrap up my report, updates on new development in Madison Place. We still have the Madison Place continuing, which is going to be a new local specialty coffee shop. They're moving very quickly on that. Every time you drive by, there seems to be something new on the outside, or you can see on the inside. And then down on Worcester Pike, we have the Little Miami Scenic Trail extension that is continuing and should be completed here in the next couple of months. And then 50 West Brewing has opened its burger bar. Currently it is online ordering only. So that is about the 5th facility they've added between the original brew pub and the production works and the volleyball courts, and then now the burger bar. And so as we saw in the paper, they continue to build their Columbia Township empire, so we're glad to have them. And that is all that I have in that report.
Okay.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll move on to the Deer Park Silverton, a little fire district report. Melissa, did you want to add to that as well?
I just have a couple of quick comments that Chief Denny Meter asked us to pass along, to say that they have really appreciated that there are many residents and businesses that have been dropping off donuts and desserts and other types of food, and they said that that really helps lift staff morale, because the staff is not able to do the traditional community events or open the firehouse to tours, and so they're missing that connection with the community except on runs, and so that the staff really appreciates that and wanted us to pass that along. He also wanted me to share that they're fortunate that none of the employees have shown any signs of COVID yet, and they are working very closely with Hamilton County Public Health and also area hospitals to identify known COVID cases in their jurisdiction. And my understanding that Little Miami Joint Fire District is doing the same. And so basically they're mapping that. So if they have to make a run to a known COVID home, they know to suit up to an advanced degree. And then also if they have a run to a local hospital and the hospital later identifies that the patient who was admitted has COVID, they then are calling our fire stations and letting them know so that they can factor that into their COVID monitoring. So.
Okay. That we move on to the HCDC Economic Development Quarterly Report. Dustin's not here. Is there any questions anybody has or anything you want to add?
Just a couple quick points on that. Dustin will join us again after when he presents the second quarter report. Hamilton County and HCDC are teleworking, so he is not with us today, but he is probably watching. So we appreciate, Dustin, your quarterly reports. We have a new restaurant that is coming to Ridge and Highland, Cajun Seafood, Mr. Crab House. There's a great picture in Dustin's report of that. He also wanted us to touch on how much demand is growing for new residential development and residential redevelopment in Columbia Township, as evidenced by new applications for our Community Reinvestment Area Program.
Good. Okay. With that, trustees reports, anything to report?
No, not at this time.
Only I will just add too, as you mentioned, the restaurant stimulus. We've heard nothing but great feedback from all the restaurants, and I think you'd mentioned that Hooligans has seen people in there that have never come, hadn't been there in a long time, and getting some repeat business. I know Jesse down from lose my mind, Flip Daddy's, has been very appreciative and kind of showed me some numbers as far as how many people he's gotten stuff back from, as well as the 50 West Burger Bar. They're opening on Friday for their outdoor dining, and I think that they've been serving a lot of people in carryout and have done extremely well, and it's really been a great experience going down there in terms of the excitement and everything they do. They do a nice job, and so does Flip Daddy's as far as the carryout experience as well. So nothing but good feedback we've heard from all the restaurateurs of getting through this, and I think now they're starting to open back up, I guess, in a week or so. So I think it was very nice. Everybody supported that, and thanks for all the help. Caroline, Susan, Melissa, and Mike Lemon, and Chris.
Yes.
So that said, we move on to communications. Any questions about the communications? No.
May I point one thing out?
Go ahead.
Please. I just wanted to let people know that one of the articles that we have in our packet today features, it was a main story on impacts from COVID, and it features a Columbia Township resident, Shelley Goering, who is the executive director for the Hyde Park Center for Older Adults, talking about the impact of isolation. And so we really want to, whenever our residents are featured, we want to make sure that we appreciate that what they are doing in terms of contributing to the region, and then maybe give them a little shout out in our meetings or on our website. So wanted to add that was, she's in Seven Hills Club.
Okay, great, thank you. With that, we move on to motions and resolutions. And Melissa, I'll hand it back to you again.
Okay, thank you. So the first is a motion, and the motion is to authorize me, the administrator, to assist the township's vehicle insurance company. We had a Hamilton County Sheriff's officer involved in a wreck in responding to a burglary call, and both vehicles were total losses. And our insurance company has been working with me since that incident to identify whether, and amazing effort by Hamilton County Sheriff's Office and Lieutenant Enderle in coordinating all of the many details that are required after an accident, and to process through all of the information. And it turns out that it was a 2019 Dodge Charger, and it is a total loss. And so the insurance company, Hyland, has identified a settlement offer to us, and so I'm asking your approval to sign all the paperwork required for that, and then we will retain those funds, and we're already working with Lieutenant Enderle, and that's the next resolution on a replacement vehicle. So just to give you a couple of quick numbers, the car was originally purchased in 2019. Between the vehicle and the safety equipment, it was $28,337. The settlement for the vehicle from Highland, our insurance company, is $27,638. There's a $1,000 deductible. There's a salvage cost for the salvage company to pick up and take the vehicle. And so there's a net of $24,138 for a total loss of $4,200. So you would be authorizing me by motion to accept the total loss designation and all of the activities associated with settling out that account, signing the title over, and all of those different types of things. And then Lieutenant Enderle's group arranged for the sheriff's garage to pull the additional safety package that we install, or you install, in the Charger, and save it for the next time that we're able to purchase a Charger. We can reuse that equipment, and that was his recommendation for cost savings. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, so we're making a motion. I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we approve the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Okay, now we move on to resolutions.
So the first resolution, we actually received very late information that we do not have to act on this resolution today. I'm going to bring to you at the next board meeting a revised resolution, but I wanted to use this opportunity to talk about what was in the resolution as it pertains to what we'll bring forward. So our prior motion was to settle the matter for the 2019 total loss Charger. Pete has been working also with Jack, is it Beal? Beal, the garage manager. We need to find a replacement vehicle for the 2019 because the existing officers have to share the officers have to share the existing vehicles, 5 instead of 6. And unfortunately, it seems the theme of the meeting today is due to COVID, auto production is either stalled or stopped, and so we do not have the ability to immediately purchase another vehicle. This resolution was put forward because Jack and Lieutenant Enderle were able to identify a potential purchase for us by another community that had ordered police pursuit vehicles and had not yet taken delivery of them. Some communities are having serious budget impacts and are scaling back on some of their purchases, and we wanted to be prepared in the event we would be able to purchase that vehicle. And good for the customer, but bad for us, they were able to take delivery of the vehicle. So this resolution, we just got that information late Friday, so this resolution is not, we don't need to vote on. But what Lieutenant Enderle has arranged is to put in to the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office order for when production begins again on Ford Explorers, that we would receive a replacement vehicle. And so when we have that information, which is I expected to have it to the next meeting, I'll bring it back to you to authorize us to go ahead and purchase that once it becomes available. The Dodge Chargers are not in production anymore. The new, for the current year. So we're going to hold on to the equipment that came out of the 2019, and in 2021, we would order for the next police vehicle that we would normally put into service in the motor pool. We would put that safety equipment back in that, so there would be a savings for that. So I'll bring this back around to you next time we meet. It might be at the bid opening, or it might be at the June, probably be at the bid opening.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for us? Again, I wanna say thank you so much to you. You've put an enormous amount of work into this.
Thank you, my pleasure.
It's almost 2 to 3 calls a week, and then a lot of effort on his part and on Jack's part to try to find a vehicle. They did a nationwide search.
Yeah, so just to expand on that a little bit, Ford, and now that the email I sent you, Ford has accepted an order, and they put it, what they call put it in the bank. So the order's been accepted for some vehicles that are earmarked for our agency and of course Columbia. So we just don't have a build date on those. So when those go into production, we'll get a build date, and we're still expecting potential delivery near the end of July. So not too far off. About 6 weeks once you get a build date for them to be produced and then delivered. So, but I'll keep you updated as soon as we get some more information.
Appreciate that. Any questions? You got that?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, the next resolution is authorizing the administrator to enter into a contract to sell easements in the township's compost yard to Metropolitan Sewer District of Greater Cincinnati. Very quickly, in 2019, the township entered into a contract for right of entry with MSD. MSD was under a deadline before December 31 of 2019 as part of a consent decree with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to upgrade a number of sewer mains, one of which was underneath our compost yard at Kennedy and Hillendale. And the board at the time agreed to help them move forward with the project before all of the construction easements and permanent easements were in place, with the agreement that once the project was completed, they would circle back to the board and ask to enter into those agreements. So they have sent us a package, and a third-party appraiser identified that for the 7 construction easements, so the space they needed to work in during construction of the project, and then 4 permanent easements on our property, the fair market value is $2,920. And they also identified, and John Servizzi, our Public Works Road Superintendent, concurs that we will maintain access to and use of the entire compost yard. And also, in the event we ever would need to do any development on the compost yard, of the 2.59 acres, the acreage, there's 1 acre level on Hillendale that we could develop, and the rest of it is a very steep topography. So this does not impact our ability to use that property or even develop it in the future. So the resolution will allow me to enter into a contract with MSD to sell those 7 temporary construction easements, which construction is already completed, and then 4 permanent sewer easements, and accept a check for $2,920.
So moved.
I'll second. Roll call.
Well, this is, so this is the first
Okay.
reading, so we'll do the second reading
Okay.
next month, but thank you
Okay.
for that. And then our final resolution is actually an amendment. Pete, this is your month to be on the stage. When the board formally passed a handicap parking policy, first reading and second reading, and had coordinated that through Hamilton County Sheriff and also our law director. And I think when Pete was working with the Hamilton County courts and clerk of courts, identified an improvement that would make things cleaner. And so we're asking to exchange, amend language relating to the fines. And so let me just kind of give them a quick update, and then if you have a question, or I'm sorry, if you have something you want to share with us. So the original language read that the fine for parking in a handicapped space was a misdemeanor and applicable to a $250 to a $500 fine. That, as I understand it, put it into a category where decisions had to be made as to whether it was a payment only or you had to appear in court and other matters. And the recommendation back, which our law director concurred with the Hamilton County Sheriff's recommendation, was that the clerk of courts has a fine schedule, and don't put an amount in the resolution. The fine schedule is updated periodically, and so if the resolution points to the fine schedule, instead of pointing to a specific amount, it would be whatever's on that fine schedule. It also changed it from a misdemeanor to a minor misdemeanor.
Right.
In doing so, which eliminated the question of direct payment or appear in court and.
And fine amount, right?
Yes, so the current fine with the clerk of court schedule is $76. Was there anything more that you wanted to add to that?
No, the issue came about that if the township were to establish its own fine, it would also have to establish its own fine schedule, which would then have to be incorporated with the clerk of court schedule of fines, which we found to be would prove to be very difficult. So the easiest solution was to amend the resolution and to make it a minor misdemeanor subject to the fine amount established for violation of 50517, which is violation of the township resolution.
We don't see any of those revenues anyway, do we?
I do not know what, I don't think you get
I believe that
anything
we
on-
get some fines, but I don't know
Yeah,
the sources of all of
On
those.
moving traffic citations, there's an amount that's returned to the township, but I
But you
don't
don't
know
think
that
for
you get
handicap.
anything off of a minor misdemeanor citation.
We'll-
I can find
we'll look
out.
at that.
I don't think
Okay.
So that is page 3, we're exchanging, we are updating the final part of the sentence in 5D to reflect the current fine amount established as Lieutenant Enderle read, the Hamilton County Municipal Court per Ohio Revised Code 50517.
Okay, that's first reading, so we don't have
It'll
to.
be the first reading as well, so
Okay.
we'll bring that back.
That, we move on to old business. Any old business to discuss? Okay, any new business to discuss? Okay, that, I'll make a motion to approve the payment of bills, bank reconciliation, and financial reports. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Okay, any announcements to make? Okay, I'll make a motion that we sign the minutes and resolutions. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear a second?
Yes.
Roll call.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
That's it. Thank you.